Imagine living with someone who believes doing dishes is oppressive and paying rent is optional because housing should be free. Sounds wild, right? Well, buckle up, because my entitled roommate turned my life into a chaotic circus until karma came knocking at their door. And trust me, it was glorious. So I, 25F, met Chris through a local LGBTQ+ support group. At first, they seemed cool, funny, outgoing, and super into activism. When I was looking for a roommate, Chris immediately volunteered, and I thought, why not? We have similar values, it'll be great. Oh, how wrong I was. The problem started literally on day one. Chris brought twice as much stuff as we agreed on, including a life-sized cardboard cutout of Lady Gaga that they insisted had to stay in the living room because it inspires them. Then they started rearranging the furniture without asking, saying my decor was too straight. But it got worse. Chris decided that chores were a social construct. Their argument? Cleaning schedules are rooted in capitalist oppression. Okay, but who's gonna do the dishes, Chris? Spoiler alert, it was always me. They'd leave dirty plates everywhere, and when I confronted them, they accused me of being anti-queer joy because I didn't appreciate their chaotic aesthetic. Oh, and let's not forget the parties. Chris loved hosting loud, over-the-top get-togethers without telling me. One time, I came home to find my living room packed with strangers, half of whom were wearing my clothes because Chris thought it'd be quirky to raid my closet. When I asked why they thought that was okay, they said, "You're so lucky to have me here. I'm teaching you to be more free-spirited." Then came the entitlement. Chris believed they were the main character in everyone's life. They'd eat my food without asking, use my toiletries, and borrow my car without permission. When I called them out, they'd get defensive and say things like, "As a queer person, I've struggled enough. I shouldn't have to worry about little things like that." Excuse me? I'm queer too, but I still pay for my own shampoo, Chris. The breaking point came when Chris lost their job and decided they just weren't going to pay rent. They told me housing should be free for everyone, so I'm making a statement by not contributing. Meanwhile, I was working overtime to cover their share, barely scraping by. When I asked them to at least look for work, they rolled their eyes and said, "I can't focus on capitalism right now. I'm exploring my art." Enough was enough. I started documenting everything: the unpaid rent, the ruined furniture, the ridiculous parties, and even their bizarre protest of stealing my stuff. Then I took it to our landlord and filed a formal complaint. Chris was furious, calling me a traitor to the queer community. They even tried to rally our mutual friends against me, painting me as some kind of LGBTQ sellout. But guess what? No one bought their sob story. Everyone was tired of their antics. The landlord gave them a 30-day notice, and Chris predictably refused to leave. So I called their bluff and took them to small claims court. Armed with receipts, photos, and a well-documented list of grievances, I won the case. Chris was ordered to pay back 2 months of unpaid rent and damages for the furniture they'd ruined. The cherry on top? The court garnished their wages from the part-time coffee shop job they'd just started. After they moved out, I found out they'd tried to pull the same nonsense with their next roommate, but this time the landlord evicted them after just 2 weeks. Karma worked fast. Now my life is peaceful again. No more Lady Gaga cutouts in the living room, no more stolen food, and no more rants about how doing laundry is heteronormative. The moral of the story? Being part of the LGBTQ+ community doesn't give you a free pass to be an entitled jerk. Respect goes both ways, and if you act like the world owes you everything, the universe will eventually put you in your place.